Now let's get started on working on building our level. Now this is going to be pretty simple because we built our level smartly using whole numbers, and also Unreal 4 has a smart grid snapping system, which you can see right up here, enables or disables snapping to the grid when dragging objects around. And currently it's set to 10, which means that every time you move an object, it's going to move 10 Unreal units, which is 10 centimeters. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab our base stage and I'm just going to drop it into the world. And I'm just going to set it to 0, 0, 0, world 0, by going over to my transform tools in my location, just typing in 0, 0, and 0. So that's world 0. And then additionally, I'm going to grab my background wall and I'm just going to drag it out. And I'm going to do the same thing. Set it to 0, 0, 0. And now we need another wall, but instead of just dragging out another one, which would be kind of silly, we can duplicate this wall. And to do that, we can either hold Control and Control C and Control V and make a second wall, or we can actually just hold Alt down on our keyboard and left click on our gizmo and just drag it over. And there will be another wall, and we can just keep on doing that until we have all our walls set up. I know I'm also going to need the top of my stage, so I'm just going to drag that out, set it to 0, 0, 0. And I'm just going to maneuver around here and drag my wall up. There we go. Now, I'm actually going to create a simple light in my scene. So I'm going to come up to my left panel, my actor classes, and I'm going to grab a light. And we have different lights. There's a directional, point light, spotlight, and skylight. For right now, we're just going to use a point light. I'm just going to drag it into the scene. I'm just going to drop it right down there. And then I'm going to set my view mode to lit. Now we can see that we have a light in our scene here. And sometimes this will be easier to be able to see where things are being placed. And I'm just going to make some easy lights for us to reference. Because I personally like working in lit mode more than unlit mode, because unlit mode is really flat. Okay, let me just drag these over here, and drag these over here. Now, if you see the little X's on your lights, that pretty much means that this light can be covered by other lights in the scene, so there's like a lot of overlapping coming on. So if we replace our lights better, we don't need this light or this one. But right now, it doesn't really matter, because this isn't going to be the final lighting of our scene. So going down our list, we have our cables, but I don't want to place those yet. I think I'm going to place our metal separator. And usually I bring an object in and then center it to 0, 0, 0, and then just move it to where I want it to be. Which is going to be right here in between our two back wall sections. All right. Move it over a little bit more. There we go. And now I'm also going to place our X-bands on our back walls. Move them to 0, 0, 0. And I'm just going to drag them up. And move them forward a little bit. Move them down so they're sitting in the floor. And I'm going to make a second one, drag them over. And then we also have our girder that runs along the top. Drag that in. Move them to 0, 0, 0. And just bring them up here. Now we have all the base architecture of our scene placed. We still have a lot more things that need to go in, like our cameras and our platform and the cables and wires and everything. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to come down to my basic actor classes, and I'm going to grab a player start, and I'm just going to drag it in here. And you can see it has a little controller and there's a little capsule there. So I'm just going to move it roughly where I want the side-scrolling player to generate. And I'm just going to move it there, and I'm going to hit play. And immediately our player falls to the floor. Now, if you ever get lost in your scene, you can just select something in your outliner and just hit F, and it'll teleport you there. However, I don't want that light, so I'm just going to delete it. So we fell through the floor because we don't have any collisions on our object. And to make a collision, it's very simple. For objects that are simple objects, we can just open up our static mesh viewer, and to do that, just double-click on your static mesh that you want to edit, and then go to your collision drop-down, and I'm going to select 6 DOP Simplified Collision. So effectively, this is going to be a very simple box on top of our object. And this green line symbolizes our collision. So there we go. And I'm just going to hit save, okay, and close out this window. And I'm going to hit play again. And there is our player. And we can run around and have all sorts of fun. And now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab our cables, and I'm just going to drop them and bring them to 0, 0, 0. And I need to rotate them, which is fine, so just rotate them 180 degrees. And move them into the proper spot for our level. There we go, and there are all our cables. They look nice and neat. And just kind of go down your list and place all of the different things. So we have our camera, and I can just drag them up, put them in the proper spot. Drag them all the way over because there's going to be 2 of them. And I'm just going to hold Alt and drag them over and rotate them 180 degrees. Nice. And now we have our center platform, which of course is very important. I want to make sure that my center platform is going to be lining up with my player so that the player will be able to jump on it. Looks about right. Drag it up. There we go. And I can actually really quickly add some collision onto this guy. And then we can grab our player, have him jump on there. Yeah. Cool. Next thing we need is the girder we already placed. The lights, of course. So here we have our light mesh, and you just got to turn them around. And there's the other. I think I just want to pull them up just a little bit. Okay. Next we have our vent, so I'll drag that in. And I want to bring it to 0, 0, 0. And then I'm just going to place it in the spot where I want it to be. And duplicate it so we have a second one. So yeah, this is coming along really well so far. And because of the way that we have our lighting set up, which is going to change, but we're going to have something similar in the background, you can see the shadows from our X bands are creating a cool parallax effect, which is nice. And then we have our wires. So I'm just going to drag those out, set them to 0, 0, 0, and push them into the ceiling. But I don't want them to collide with my camera. So I'm going to bring my camera forward a little bit more, and I'm going to hit play. Yeah, that looks nice. It looks like the cameras and the wires and everything are all kind of colliding with each, not colliding, but are, part of the same system. So yeah, this is looking pretty cool. So very simply, we've been able to, just flesh out, the base section of our level, and we're going to flesh out from here. But now that we have all of our objects placed, we can build our materials so that we can see what this is really going to look like. So, see you next time.